Great, great, great. Good morning. Let me try that again. Good morning. All right, there we go. I'm Chris Dito, the Executive Director of the M.E.T program, and on behalf of our team, I would like to welcome you all to the class of 2026 M.E.T Admitted Students and Parent Session. Woohoo! There we go. Before we begin our formal programming, I would like to read our land acknowledgement. We recognize that UC Berkeley sits on the territory of Huichin, the ancestral and unceded land of the Chochenyo-speaking Ohlone people, the successors of the sovereign Verona Band of Alameda County. This land was and continues to be of great importance to the Muwekma, Ohlone tribe, and other familial descendants of the Verona Band. We recognize that every member of the Berkeley community has and continues to benefit from the use and occupation of this land since the institution's founding in 1868. Consistent with our values of community, inclusion, and diversity, we have a responsibility to acknowledge and make visible the university's relationship to Native peoples. As members of the Berkeley community, it is vitally important that we not only recognize the history of the land on which we stand, but also recognize that the Muwekma Ohlone people are alive and flourishing members of the Berkeley and broader area communities today. Thank you all for joining us today. Shout out to being in person. It's just so amazing to see so many people. We're a little rusty, so here we go. We've invited leaders and a panel of current students to speak with you, some of whom will offer some very brief remarks, and others will be recognized alongside given the time that we have. Now, without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce Berkeley Engineering Dean Sujay King Liu. Hang on one sec. I got to do the bio, guys. It's worthy. Here we go. Sujay King Liu received her bachelor's, master's, and PhD degrees in electrical engineering from Stanford University. She joined the Xerox Palo Alto Research Center as a member of research staff in 1992 to research and develop high-performance thin-film transistor technologies for flat panel display applications. In 1996, she joined the faculty of the University of California at Berkeley, yay, where she now holds the Roy W. Carlson Distinguished Professorship in Engineering. From 2000 to 2004 and from 2006 to 2008, she served as the faculty director of the UC Berkeley Microfabrication Laboratory. From July 2004 through June 2006, she was senior director of engineering at the Advanced Technology Group of Synopsys. From 2008 through 2012, Professor Liu was the Associate Dean for Research in the College of Engineering at UC Berkeley. She also served as faculty director of the UC Berkeley Marvell Nanofabrication Laboratory in 2012. From 2012 to 2016, she served as the chair of the Electrical Engineering Division, and from 2014 to 2016, she served as the chair of the EECS Department. Dean Liu.
Thank you so much, Chris, and welcome, everyone. Welcome to Cal, and congratulations to all of the M.E.T. admits. You should be very proud of your accomplishment. It's been a pleasure for me to watch the growth of the M.E.T. program over the last few years since I've been paying closer attention to it as dean. The previous deans of engineering and the Haas School really envisioned this program to be premier, following the vision of Michael Grimes, whom you'll hear from shortly. And I'm proud to say, and I'm happy to say that I think we've made them proud. Am I right? Yes. Yeah, they really set a high bar, high aspirations for this program. Well, when this program first started in 2017, we in engineering only offered 2 tracks, in electrical engineering and computer sciences, and in industrial engineering and operations research. And over the years, as we've seen the outstanding quality and the excellence of the program, we've added more engineering tracks. So today there are 6 engineering tracks in this M.E.T. program, and eventually there will be 8. So we really have, and we also have alumni now that who just graduated in the last year, and they have secured jobs, a variety of jobs, ranging from product managers, software engineers, researchers, and startup founders, and they truly do represent the best of both Berkeley Engineering and the Haas School of Business. Now, as an M.E.T. student, you'll be able to earn undergraduate degrees from both the prestigious College of Engineering and the well-respected Haas School of Business here at Berkeley. I think our M.E.T. program is the only one that combines top-ranked schools in both engineering and business. We offer you world-class instruction from world-leading faculty in each of our fields, and also connections with Silicon Valley industry leaders. And we provide you with career coaching and expert mentors to ensure that you will have all the skills you need, soft and hard skills, to lead innovation, whether or not it's inside a company or your own startup company, or if you're working for a social impact venture. Now, you can imagine, hopefully here, being at Berkeley for 4 years, working alongside the best and brightest in engineering and business, and immersed in our vibrant entrepreneurial ecosystem. And imagine that you will, within 4 years, graduate and connect with a huge worldwide network of technology and business innovators. So we all hope that you will choose to join Berkeley Engineering and Berkeley Haas and say yes to the M.E.T. program and all that UC Berkeley has to offer. All right, now I have the pleasure of introducing Professor Shoykot Chowdhury, who joined the M.E.T. team last year as faculty director. He has added amazing guidance and academic depth in both management and entrepreneurship to this program. So as he comes up, I'll give you a little background. Shoykot is the inaugural faculty director of the M.E.T. program. He holds also the Grimes M.E.T. Chancellor's Chair at this university. He has a joint faculty appointment in the Haas School of Business in the area of entrepreneurship and innovation, and the management of organizations groups in the Haas School. And he's also a professor in the mechanical engineering department in the College of Engineering. Now, Professor Shoykot Chowdhury is an award-winning educator. He has taught and led undergraduate, MBA, and executive education courses covering corporate strategy, management of technology and innovation, and all while advising and leading, helping advise leading global corporations and governments worldwide. He earned his bachelor's degrees in mechanical engineering and in multinational management from the University of Pennsylvania. He also earned a master's degree in manufacturing systems engineering from Stanford and a doctoral degree in technology and operations management from Harvard. Please join me in welcoming Professor Chowdhury to the stage.
Thank you so much for that embarrassing introduction. Dean Liu, more than anything, we have to thank you because you and Dean Harrison have been instrumental in helping us thrive and let the program M.E.T. reach new heights. So thank you so much. Dean Harrison from the Haas School of Business couldn't join us today, but we do have 2 campus leaders from the Haas School whom I'd like to recognize. One is Dr. Erica Walker. If you could please stand. She's in the back. Erica was instrumental right from the beginning as the assistant dean for undergraduate programs at Haas, very, very involved with the program from the beginning. She's now moved on as a senior assistant dean for instruction. And in her place, I'd like to introduce now Emma Daftary, who's the new undergrad assistant dean. Thanks to you as well for all your support and for joining us today. That's also an indication of your support. We look forward to partnering with you. The M.E.T team, I'd be remiss in not recognizing them. Chris Dito, whom you've met, Executive Director of the program. Althea Escalante, who is right over there. Please, wave your hand. You know her by now already. And unable to join us today, but very much committed, and the one who set this up is Dawn Kramer, as I mentioned as well. I mean, without all of you, we should thank her too. Without all of you, it would not have been possible. They've been here since inception, really run the program. As Sujay mentioned, I just joined last year and joined the team, so I'm enjoying the ride, but they did all the hard work. M.E.T is a community, and so in that spirit, we have students here, but we also have our first alumni, some of them, as well as our board members. So I'd like to recognize them at this moment as well. I'll keep going through the list, but please stand up, and at the end, we'll recognize you with a round of applause. So first, Sharon Bonner-Brown. Then, thank you, Kamal Tugiraga, are you here? Mark Edelstone, I saw you. Janelle Grimes. Kai Huang, he will also join us at some point. Ted Koo. Those are our board members, and then we have our recent alumni, Akshat Gokhale, where are you? Probably join us soon too. You're thinking about us, I know. Ayush Jain, there we go. Adrik Kuila, Michelle Liu, Avantika Ramesh, and Manav Rathod. So we have, we also have Samir back there. Thank you for pointing that out. M.E.T is a community for life, and so that's really important. Thank you. The rest of them will also be around. They'll be in the reception, so afterwards, so you can ask any of us questions. Now, I want to keep my remarks short. The reason is you heard from me yesterday. It was great to see you all. The mock class we had, you heard about why I think M.E.T is so unique and so special. You heard about where we're planning to take the program as M.E.T 2.0. So all I want to do, given that I just joined last year, is to share with you my top 5 takeaways, what I learned about UC Berkeley in my little over 1 year that I've spent here, because honestly, I'd like to bust some myths as well that sometimes abound. But it's been such a special journey for me, and I want to share with you what makes this such an incredible place. The first thing is the pursuit of academic excellence is unwavering and everywhere in research, teaching, and administration. I can't emphasize that enough. Being a public university, with sometimes a few challenges here and there, it is remarkable how all the accolades, not just Nobel Prizes, though they keep coming too, but everything else keeps coming. I was blown away by the sheer intellectual energy of this place. It's unbelievable. Number 2, at the same time, it's not just about these achievements. The commitment to a positive impact on society is everywhere. It's relentless, it's pervasive, it's the guiding light of UC Berkeley. It's so ingrained in the DNA that I have no doubt that this venerable institution is going to lead the world towards a more sustainable place. The third point, UC Berkeley is large, as you've noticed, and very decentralized, but there's a common soul. There's something which binds us. The amount of interdisciplinary interaction, collegiality, just working together collaboratively across campus is something we experience in M.E.T every day. I've not seen it anywhere else. Number 4, contrary to perceptions, when it matters, this place moves faster than I've seen any other institution, including the private institutions that Sujay mentioned, that I have experienced ever before. I have never seen grants get done in a matter of weeks. I have never seen new programs like the Chief Digital Officer program that I helped launch here get done within a few months. It is incredible. It's mind-boggling. I was blown away at how much we can get done. How is this all possible? That's point number 5, what I learned. It's because of the dedication of the people. I have never seen this kind of dedication, whether it's students, alumni, administrators, faculty, staff. Their commitment to having a great experience and to the mission is relentless. And to give you one example of something that wouldn't have happened anywhere else, when we had our event, we had to squeeze in due to COVID for our class of 2021 for graduation. I gave the provosts and the deans and others only 10 days notice before the event, and guess what? They showed up. That would not have happened anywhere else as a testimony. So, with all that said, all I can say is I am incredibly inspired. And I'm sure that if you come here, you too will be inspired. So do join us on this journey to create leaders who can combine technology and business in order to solve the world's most pressing problems as we go forward and make us, you, and the world proud. Now, speaking of inspiration, he's been referenced here before, Mr. Michael Grimes. He and Janelle have been instrumental to the founding of this program. Not only that, they continue to be engaged in myriad ways to support us and to support all of you, for which we are extraordinarily grateful. Without them, none of this would have been possible. I'd like to invite Mr. Grimes to join us here on the stage and take the podium, because I think you'll benefit from learning from him why he's not just a Cal grad from 1987 in EECS, his wife graduated in political science, but he's the best-known investment banker that the tech industry has seen in the world. He has done every IPO that you can think of, whether it's Facebook or Uber or LinkedIn or Snapchat or Google, and a lot more. So he's seen an incredible view into what startups are about, what entrepreneurs are about, what innovation is about here in the Bay Area. So without further ado, Michael, please take the stage, and thank you so much for everything that you do.
DECA, FTC, Python, hackathon, neuroscience, biotechnology, genomics, research, mathematics, technology, science, engineering. For who in the room did those words get your pulse racing? Just think of it on your own. That's who I'm talking to right now. Let me switch and talk to a different group of people. Leadership, communication, management, Model UN, captain of the debate team, starting something, founding something, creating something, running something. Different group of people I'm talking to there that maybe got you enthused and excited. Now I want to talk to someone else. I want to talk to you if you said both of those sets of words got me excited. Both of them. I'm one of the few, the unique, that felt like I'm in both of the groups that identify with that. And if that's you, that's who I want to talk to right now about why we created M.E.T. We created M.E.T. because we knew you were out there. We knew you were a needle in a haystack, that there's all kinds of people in each of those groups, but you might have been the only one that you knew that was in both at once. And if that's you, why should you have to choose one of those silos? Why should you have to compromise? Why should you have to say, okay, if I do want both, it's going to take me 9 years to do it? Or I can just do one now and take my career in that silo, or one in the other. And that is why we created M.E.T. If that's you who I'm speaking to now, we created this program just for you. Now I'll pause and maybe surprise you by giving you a couple of reasons why not to choose this program, for those of you who are still choosing. Because we want people to make fully informed decisions and be here if it makes sense. So why would it not make sense? What's a reason not to come here alone? It's not sufficient to come here. And that is the brand prestige. It turns out after just a couple of years, and certainly after 5, the brand prestige is what we thought, equivalent to the Rhodes Scholarship for Tech. The 50 out of 6,000 is what it's going to be this year. There were 6,000 applicants. Is comparable at a 1% and change admit rate to Rhodes. That's ridiculously prestigious. That's known to essentially every tech entrepreneur in growth at this point, and tech company and venture capital firm. Maybe not your high school friends, but it's known to all of those folks. But that's not reason alone to join a program just because it's prestigious. That wears off soon. So it's not for that. It'll be for reasons I come to in a minute about the substance, but not about the superior prestige. What's another reason not sufficient to join? We've talked about both tech and business. You're going to have a mechanical engineering or a bioengineering, civil engineering, material science, EECS, IEOR degree, and separately the Haas business degree. And you could pursue roles as if the other one didn't exist. You could be a pure business person, maybe go into finance like I stumbled into in the end, or consulting or business, marketing, sales, or you could be a straight tech engineer, a single degree engineer. You could do that, of course, with M.E.T because you've done both. But in my opinion, you wouldn't have taken advantage of the intersection. So you could do it for those reasons, that flexibility, but to me, that's not reason sufficient enough. Not in my judgment, just having seen. There are incredible places you could do either of those silos. Incredible engineering schools and incredible business schools that you can do both. But to the degree that you want to say, why would this fit for me? I'm going to tell you there's 3 reasons, and I'm going to ask you to think, do these 3 reasons match for you? Is it one of them, 2 of them, 3 of them, or none of them, right? So that's really, to me, what it's all about is these 3. The first is, were you in that group of, I'm in both groups, and therefore you don't want to compromise. You don't want to have to be in one silo like academic institutions, including this one before we started it. We're in fact siloed. That's what we did and broke down following on the footsteps of Penn, who had done it before, and the shoulders we stand on of theirs. So if you are in that mode where you want both of those degrees by 2026 for the class that's entering now, versus call it 2031 or 2030 or 31, that's the other path to 2 degrees is work in between undergrad and then business school. So if it's 2026 versus 2030-31, that's reason number 1 if that's important to you, because you want to take your tech innovation and build it and invent it and take it to market and scale it and lead the company and manage and product manage, operations manage, understand the finance, the legal aspects, the entire equation that comes with the MBA equivalent. So that's reason number 1. Does that fit for you or does it not? So just be thinking about that. Yes or no on that, number 1. Number 2, do you want to have these unparalleled is now no longer, that's the word I used to use when we started this and we expected unparalleled recruiting, but really unbelievable 10x recruiting opportunities. And it's literally 10x. You saw those logos in the letter that I sent you. It's on the MET-admit.com website also. If you haven't gone on there, go look at that. Those logos are just on the freshman and sophomore internships. And it's 100 companies of the best companies in the world. It's Amazon, it's Google, it's Airbnb, it's Genentech, it's Amgen, it's Roblox, it's SpaceX, which I think is the most difficult engineering role to get of any company, by the way, right now in the world. And I think we had 5 freshmen and sophomores into SpaceX. So, and they recruited dedicated special at M.E.T, times another 50, 70 companies. So the reason I mentioned freshman and sophomore is it's the beginning. That's 5 months from now, right, is when that starts. And as we learned from SpaceX, is a small change in launch trajectory and launch velocity makes an enormous change in the eventual height of orbit. So the advantage accelerates and compounds. So if that is important to you, not just internship, but full-time recruiting and the spiral that comes from what you did, therefore you did, therefore you did, that starts in 5 months. If that is important to you, that number 2 is a great fit. If it's not, then don't count that one as important. It's up to you. Third, I talked about those of you who felt like both, that you're the needle in the haystack. By the way, those first 2 we saw coming. Those were our product market fit, as the term of art goes, and that's why we created it. I didn't see coming the third. I only saw that after the group in the back row. You're allowed to be in the back row just today because you're sending the other students in the front, which is great. Usually they're in the front. Just today. The alums, after seeing their cohort in the first year, we realized this was the third piece that was so special. It's 50,000, 100,000 high schools. You find, the needle in the haystack among those. And now there's 49 other needles in the cohort with you. Diverse background, diverse geography, diverse interests, diverse hobbies. But the common thread is, I'm that needle from my town, right? I'm that needle. So I'd like you to pause right now if you're a student, not the parents. If you're an admitted student, look left right now, look right, front and back. You're looking at 50 other needles. Does that matter to you? It might not. I saw how incredibly special it was and didn't see that coming, and so I now have that in the third reason. Is that cohort of people you'll study with. You can study with anyone, of course, but you'll do a lot of studying with them. You'll do a lot of labs. You'll do business competitions, case competitions, coursework. You'll found companies together. Does that matter, that small school within the large world-class university? So my advice, because we want people to figure this out for themselves for the right reasons, is to say, was that a one hit no hit. If it was no hit, those three things aren't important to you. This is not the program. It's a lot of work. It's manageable. You can see that on the M.E.T. challenge video on the Admit website, but it's too much work to do if you don't care about any of those three things. There's a great place for you, and this is probably not it. If one of those things appeal to you, this could be a good fit. If two of those things appealed to you, this is probably a really good fit. If all three of those are important to you, this is an entirely perfect fit. And this is a program that, in fact, we then created just for you. So with that, I will take some questions. We've got a few minutes, I think, for questions. This is for admitted students versus current or parent. I guess we do parents also, but I prefer admitted students. Yeah, go ahead, please, and also tell your name and where you're from.
Hello, my name is Alfonso Portilla, and I'm from Mexico City, and I'm really excited to be part of the M.E.T. program because I was always interested in precisely this intersection between business and engineering. And the question I wanted to ask is related to the business component of the M.E.T. program.
Yep.
How similar would you say that the business component of the M.E.T. program is to an MBA? And would you recommend that would you say that it's a good idea to get an MBA after?
Great question, a really important one. I went through this very personally. Janelle and I went through this with our son when he was had been recruited at MIT to run track. He's a fast kid, I guess fast by MIT standards. He couldn't have run at Stanford. I'll put it that way. Not running track at Penn or UCLA, but MIT he would have been freshman starter as a recruited athlete, and he thought a lot about MIT and then MBA, right? And I had told him that's what you do. Mary Barra, CEO of General Motors, was undergrad engineering and an MBA. Satya Nadella, CEO of Microsoft, undergrad engineering degree, then worked, then an MBA. Sundar Pichai at Google, undergrad, I think IIT, and then MBA. And so that is the path because those business skills are super needed. They don't come out of the water fountain on any campus. They come in the business classes, 14, 15, 16 classes. And, I hire undergrads and MBAs all the time at Morgan Stanley. Pure finance, usually really not tech, although we do love the M&T kids. And now we've hired our first M.E.T. I think she's here today, Michelle Liu. And they're identical curriculums. I used to say 80 or 90%, and then people correct me. My son correct me. He's like, no, we take corporate valuation. It's just the undergrad versions versus the graduate version, same teacher, same coursework. They don't want to double up, and you don't go back later. You could, but why? Because then you just interrupt your career at 27 or 8 for 2 years. The cost of that is $700,000, $800,000, $1 million. Sometimes people don't do that math. It's kind of a CEO test. It's not just $100,000 out the door each year for 2 years. You're not bringing in, I don't know, whatever it is. Let's call it $300,000 in by the 4th or 5th year, right, in your career as an engineer. Engineers are in high demand. The salaries go up fast. So let's say $300,000 in for 2 years versus $100,000 out for 2 years, $800,000. So you wouldn't. It happens at Penn, M&T very rarely. Only cases you maybe made a mistake. You took a pure business route and worked for me or worked at Goldman Sachs and then said, God, I wish I was in product management. You don't need the MBA to be a product manager at that point. You have your 2 degrees, but there's no recruiting funnel from Morgan Stanley into product management at Airbnb. There's no funnel. So if you want to go get in the funnel and switch completely, utterly, like literally from consulting to tech engineering, or vice versa, I should say, tech engineering to consulting. But you don't need to do that, and I wouldn't expect it at Penn M&T. I think it's 0 to 2 out of 50. And so that's the dynamic, and that's a key product market fit here is you want it at MBA, but you want to get it at age 22. Other questions? What do we have? You got any parents' questions? All right, I can do, wait, back, go ahead. Sorry, what's your name? How you doing, from Vancouver? Sure. Yeah, we know it well. I don't know if Shoykot mentioned it because it's kind of obscured a little bit in the bio that was read. He's M&T undergrad, and he taught at M.E.T, and he was interim faculty director at M.E.T when Dr. Hamilton retired, who was the founder of the program. And I teach at M.E.T SI. Any M.E.T SIers here? Look at that. We got some M.E.T SI, which is the summer M.E.T for high schoolers. And I sit on the board of M.E.T as the only non-alumni board member, I think, in the history of M.E.T. Love the program. Without it, none of us are in this room together. The media, when they were hyping up our program and saying this amazing thing, like it's the first of its kind ever, and asking me how I invented it, I'm like, I didn't. Penn invented it. Dr. Hamilton invented it 40 years ago. We stand on his shoulders. And so it's a phenomenal program. I would say in the first year or two here, I would have said that's the gold standard, and we're going to do it. We're going to replicate it, if you will. Kind of that's the Netflix and we're the HBO, Plus or whatever type of thing. I think, right now the programs are identical in terms of the curriculum. And I mean, Shoykot's even bringing the coursework he developed here. And so it's the same thing. You're getting 2 full degrees. Your same amazing cohort, right? It's just incredible. The difference and the big dial, I would say, if those 3 things appealed to you, all 3 of them, let's say, the big dial is if you have the chance, and you certainly have the chance to do this program, you do one of those 2 programs over any single degree engineering program, no matter what. If those 3 things all applied, for sure. The small dial is which of the 2 programs. So I'll focus now on the small dial. The small dial on which of the 2 programs is one is on the East Coast, one's on the West Coast. You might hear, let me dispel a myth. A myth you might have heard is, and I do not subscribe to it, I understand it, my son was there, and I know them all, and I've hired 20 M.E.Ts, is that M.E.T is more focused on business than tech, and M.E.T is more focused on tech than business. As a focus matter, that is not true. As a matter of matriculation of what the students choose to do with total freedom of choice, it turns out that until we started this program, maybe 3/4 of the M&T class went into my industry or consulting or private equity or venture capital. And in fact, that's another reason why we're in the room. The best students I ever hired in history were always from M&T. Always, always, always. Better than Berkeley student, Stanford student, MIT student, Harvard student, consistently, always, always. Essentially always. And so that's how, what is this all about, right? And that's how I learned it all. And they were coming to me more so than Uber or what have you. And they're coming to Goldman Sachs, going to McKinsey, et cetera, going to private equity firms that don't even recruit, out of undergrad except at Penn M&T. And so that's a proximate nature to Wall Street, and it's on the East Coast, and the students have chosen that path. They don't have to. My son did not pursue that path, our son. Our son was like most of you, and by the way, some of you might want to be on the business first if you want to call it. That's totally fine. And I would guess there's 6 or 8 of those out of every 50 here, and it's awesome, and you can do it. There were maybe 10 or 12 his year in the tech first way they applied it, even though the curriculums are the same. And that's the group he hung out with a little bit more, although he knew all of them. He knew all the people who came to me at Morgan Stanley, the ones who went to hedge funds, et cetera, and he stays in touch with all of them. But the people he spent the most time with went to Microsoft. He's a Google product manager. He works on the Google feed. I think 60 engineers working on his product today. It's $1 billion revenue stream, right? He deals with everything from the finance to the marketing, the legal, the engineering, the coding if he has to, but not coding every day, data science, the design, everything. Exactly what you'd want gets offered, head of product, executive team at startups. He's not the most successful one in that class. Ali Javis, if you Google him, Javice, he's a vice president already at Burger King, Tim Hortons, Popeyes, that like restaurant brands company, all their tech, the cashiers, the Wi-Fi, the Apple Pay, on the executive team. I think he has hundreds of people working for him. He was Penn M&T. So he didn't have to go to Goldman Sachs just because he was there. So the students the cohort is different. So there would be more students here in this room that are a bit more excited among the 2 sets of words I read by the first set, but they're still all excited by both. And as a practical matter, at Penn, it could be the other way and has been, but that's not because of the program, that's because of the choice of the students. So you have the choice. And I don't want to discourage anyone who says, I love both sets of words and the second set was more important to me from coming here. However, they will find more needles of their slight needle variety at M&T than here. And then the reverse is also true. If the tech words were slightly higher among the 2 words, you would find more of those needles here. But both the programs are amazing, and the big dial is choosing one of those over any single degree if those 3 things, or at least 2 of the 3, and certainly if the 3 things appeal to you. So subtle, long answer to a subtle question, but that is my answer. Other thoughts or questions? Go ahead. Okay, outside of the classroom. So we've got Canada, Mexico, and the UK. It's pretty cool. Someone's going to be from Cupertino. Okay. So outside of the classroom, I think there's one thing I didn't know coming in here. They all told me about club recruiting. I'm starting to inundate people, in September with all these amazing, and Mark Edelstone is, and Ted Koo is, Kai Wong, board members with these jobs that are specific M.E.T. recruiting. And they're like, can you hold up a few weeks? I'm like, hold up a few weeks? They got here, they're freshmen, we're launching. I'm like, my SpaceX thing. Well, there's club recruiting. There's like 60 consulting clubs here and like 15 or more AI ML clubs. So the M.E.T. students are in high demand by all these clubs. And they're working together on them, and they're running them. And so that's a big piece of the cohort. They're in high demand by researchers. I didn't see that coming. Why does the researcher in quantum computing or, electrical engineering or industrial engineering or data science care that you're also a business student? They actually don't, but they know you're the hand-picked 50 out of 6,000 just as it relates to engineering. And graduate work is usually what it takes to get research jobs. And this was something I only learned after they all explained it to me. Let's say you're at MIT or Stanford, the same thing would be true. The top 50 out of the 700 Stanford CS engineers, CS students, every freshman class has 700. The top 50 would be in high demand by the professor of AI/ML to do research. How do they find the top 50? How do they know who she is? Here you've been identified. So I didn't see that coming. There's no guarantee of that. And I guess you could call that in a classroom, but I'm going to call that in the lab because they've all taught me about Ken Goldberg and his AI/ML lab and the Bear lab and autonomous vehicles and that. The recruiting is something that the students have shown me they're doing. They're giving you mock interviews. There's office hours that Mark Edelstone and Ted and Kai and James Laudu, these are all founders and leaders of successful tech and other businesses. And so that set of resources is available to you with what's called office hours. And then I'm available all the time. I don't do this as office hours. I do it as many of you students know. Calls, emails, Facebook Zooms on choosing job X versus Y, tell me what you think about my startup, how should I approach venture capital to any one of you, essentially at any time with my ability to adjust the schedule. If you say Tuesday night, I might say it needs to be Wednesday night, but then I will talk to you individually and personally about that. And I've done hundreds of hours on that subject with the students. So hopefully that answers the question, Jayton, and thank you for traveling so far. I think I got time for one more. You've had your hand up. What's name and where are you from? Irvine, California. We almost made it to Northern California. Thank you for that question, Emily. So we talked about Dr. Hamilton. Dr. Bill Hamilton thought of this from scratch to de-siloize at the University of Pennsylvania over 40 years ago. Actually, 40 years ago is 1982. There was no building, apparently. The students didn't know each other. It was creating the opportunity to do a dual degree, but not what you'd expect. And it was like 4 or 5 years in, they realized they had something special, and then they made the building, the facility, and everything else that we have very, copied, generously copied, and done everything that they did because it wasn't broken, so we did that. And it was such an inspiration to see what he had done. Then we sent our son to say, you should check this out. He did MNTSI. He fell in love with it. Got very involved, was president of the student board there, and kind of full metal M&T. So with that, we got super involved, and I went on the board and really cared about the program a lot. That's still what I had then, this idea in my head of what if we could do that at Berkeley. But I didn't know Dr. Erica Walker and her colleague Rich Lyons, who was dean at Haas at the time. I had grown up in my silo here in EECS in 1987. And been sitting on the board of engineering here with Sujay's predecessor, Dr. Shankar Sastry, and been as active a board member as I could, but never really done anything meaningful and impactful. And for a couple of years, I would tell Janelle, we need to recreate that at Berkeley. And then we would say, that's never going to happen, right? It's this, massive university, although then when you hear Shoykot talk about what happened, that was what was so surprising on how fast people can move. But how would we even do that? Don't know the Haas people, curriculum change. How could you motivate a university? I mean, the building and the people and the staff, this is serious stuff. And there were no Haas undergrads at all. The first, freshman and sophomore undergrads. Haas apply after end of sophomore year, and you start as juniors at Haas, except for in this program and something small that came after called Global Management. So there weren't any Haas freshmen. There never have been any Haas freshmen. How are we going to have Haas freshmen? And so it all seemed pretty daunting. And I can remember where I was. I was in the room, Dr. Hamilton's retirement, and he's going to retire. He's done it for, at that point, it was like 34 years. And there's rooms bigger than this, Huntsman Hall at Wharton, and there's 300 people there, probably 250 were alums of the 2,000 graduates that had come before, or maybe 1,800 graduates that had come before over the 35 years, had come from around the world to be in the room to pay him tribute after the original founder retired, and to get up and speak, change my life, and watching him talk about how gratifying it was to have changed the lives of these people who didn't have to choose anymore. It changed their whole career, their entire career. And then they hired people to solve the world's big problems. And everything changed. And so as I'm watching him and sitting there, I picture that being me. And I squeezed Janelle's hand and I said, we're doing this. And so that's what motivated me. And I couldn't be more proud to be all of your partner. Congratulations. And I really, really love you all for thinking about this and make a decision that works well for you. Thank you very much.
So amazing. Biggest super booster I've ever witnessed in my life. I've been in the field of education for 25 years. This guy is on it all the time. When he says that he's here for students all the time, back me up, alumni, like every time, every day, every moment. So thank you, Michael. Amazing. Okay, so we are getting into our headliners here. It's always the students. You guys, if you could come on up. Pedro, Tijan, Hannah Saravia, come on up, everybody. Yes. They're going to go ahead and give a brief background, name, hometown, and then their favorite activities, either M.E.T. related or Berkeley related. It doesn't really matter, but I'm just so excited you guys are here, so I will let you take it away.
Okay. You're up. Is this on? Yeah, it is. Okay, cool. My name is Pedro. I am a junior now, so class of 2023. I'm on the EECS track. Biggest things I've done here, most exciting things I've done here. Started a company with 2 other M.E.T. kids about a year and a half ago. No, maybe more like 2 years ago. Some long time ago. And we've just been working on that ever since, and it's been a lot of fun. The other thing was do some machine learning research at Bear Lab, which is the Berkeley AI Research Lab, and at Google Brain. I can talk a lot about entrepreneurship and research. So if you have questions about that, let me know.
Awesome. All right. Hi, my name is Rabia. I'm a senior, so class of 2022. I'm studying EECS in business. I'm originally from the East Coast, so Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, or suburbs. And then during my time here at Cal, I have been involved. I think my favorite part closest to M.E.T. is serving on the M.E.T. student board. So I'm currently serving as a student board president, but in my 4 years here, again, standing on the shoulders of the class before me, we've done a lot of work with admitted students events. So that if any of you were at the event yesterday, put on by our team and the student board, and then also the M.E.T. consulting group, so we have a strategy group that works in the intersection of business technology. So that's been some of my favorite work done here. And then I also serve as a TA for one of our electrical engineering courses, helping students build voice-controlled electric cars. So I can talk about teaching, I can talk about student board here.
Hi, I'm Hannah. I'm a 4th year, so a senior on the IOR track. I'm originally from Huntington Beach, California. And some of my favorite things I've done at Berkeley is working with the IR department. I have been pretty heavily involved since I was a sophomore. I'm currently our student president, or our president for our affiliated club, the Institute for Industrial and Systems Engineers. I work really closely with the department as well. I'm their assistant for communications and marketing, and I read. It's a fantastic community of people. And another great memory is attending all our football games. I haven't missed one. I think it's a great time to just be a part of the student body and experience Cal.
My name is Tijan. I'm a third year on the bioengineering track. I'm from Walnut Creek, so close by, Bay Area. And I would say my two highlights of Cal, the first actually, my biggest fear was that I wouldn't have time to do what I love when I came here, which is basketball. And I'm proud to say that I get to play on the Cal women's basketball team 3 days a week. So that's my highlight, honestly, as I practice with them and make them better. I love playing basketball. And second is I love big pharma and biotech, so if you guys want to talk about that anytime, always open. But I was able to find that I love that through the Entrepreneurial Fellows Program, and that was a partnership that M.E.T has with Skydeck, and so I was able to have an awesome freshman summer internship in the midst of COVID, and because of that, that allowed me to find my passion for biopharma and biotech, and allowed me to pursue 2 other internships in the same field, and so those are my 2 highlights.
So guys, we're going to go ahead and open it up for questions. We're ready. Whatever you got, fire away. So excited to see your smiling faces. It's so amazing to be in person. So you guys go ahead and stand up and ask any questions you have. Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. My name is Anthony Ramirez. I'm from Temecula, California. My question for everyone is, how did you discover exactly what you wanted to do at Berkeley?
I can go first. Yes, he asked, how did we discover what we wanted to do here at Berkeley M.E.T? So I came in, I guess for me, I really like entrepreneurship. I did a little bit of entrepreneurship in high school, so I came in knowing that I wanted to start a company. And this place is a really good place to find people like that. So maybe 3 or 4 months into my freshman year, I found other people that wanted to do entrepreneurship in M.E.T. So I would literally just talk in the group chats that we had prior to coming here, that you guys probably also have. We would just talk about like our interests and stuff, right? And I met this one guy in M.E.T. named James, and he lived in Northern Virginia. I didn't move. I went to an event in D.C. and met up with him, and we just like hit it off. We were like, yeah, like we want to build something. And so I found my co-founder right there. And we came back and started ideating, what are we going to build, what are we going to do, settled on something and just got started. So the way I found it is just by talking to the people around me. Like the people around you are really, really incredible in what they do and diverse in talent. And I think that's Michael Grimes said that earlier, and I think that's really true in the fact that James is very good at talking to people, I'm very good at building, and our other co-founder is very good at designing. So it's like we found the right people to get started right away, and that's how I found them.
All right. For me, I think one thing, coming to Berkeley, I feel like I was actually fairly new to things within engineering, and so I was very interested on the business side. I knew I wanted to build something, but a lot in that space was very new to me, and so taking computer science courses here at Berkeley, I think at first it was a lot. It was overwhelming, and so I kind of found my roots in mentorship. So I first joined a program here called Computer Science Mentors, which helps get students into computer science. Our courses here, if you haven't heard, are kind of pretty big, but then you can get them down to these small group sections of 5 students taught by other students. And so there's so many places you can find support. And that helped get me into computer science, into engineering. And so during my time here, I've gotten involved as a CSM mentor. So I was teaching small groups within electrical engineering and helping get other students into engineering, and that was something I found I was passionate about. And then hopping on that train, I also helped out with orientation, so helping introduce students to Berkeley and showing them like how much I love this place, and that helped me feel more grounded to campus. And so I really love like bringing people into this community and kind of helping them feel as that they belong here, and so that's one thing that I found I loved.
Yeah, so I figured out what I wanted to do at Berkeley during my sophomore year. I got an internship at Procter & Gamble for a supply network operations intern, and I didn't really know what to expect. P&G is a huge company. It was the beginning of COVID. I didn't know whether it'd be in person or online, and I ended up working in person at their distribution center in Moreno Valley. And I was on their transportation and planning team, and I discovered that I really enjoyed that aspect of supply chain, working in forecasting. So I worked on helping forecast demand and seeing how many people we needed, how many like how much equipment we needed, how many pallets we'd be processing. I really enjoyed that intersection of being able to work with people, deciding how we needed to approach this problem, and also the more technical aspect of figuring out how do we convert our financial demand into actual product that we're shipping out to Costco, Walmart, Target, things like that.
For me, I guess it was just jumping in every semester and trying something new, which I try to hold myself to that. Whether it's Greek life, working at a lab on campus, playing basketball, consulting club. These are all ways for you to find not necessarily what you love, but maybe something that you don't like, and narrow down that decision more and more. And so, yeah, for me, it's always trying new things and taking the lessons from the things I don't necessarily love. But I think no matter what you do, you know, over time, you're going to slowly find that what matters more is like the bigger picture and the impact that you want to have. So like, I'm really interested in healing people, saving lives, and using technology and medicine to find the ways in which, you know, we can combine engineering to make novel medicines and whatnot. And like that drive to me is so much greater than, you know, the analyst work I'm going to have to do and the decking and the boring stuff. So what matters to me more is finding like the bigger picture, like what do you really love rather than just, you know, immediately that instant gratification.
Other questions, guys? I'm going to try and hand the microphone to you guys, so bear with me here. I feel like I'm like a talk show host. Do you guys want to put that down? There we go.
Hi, my name is Curry. I'm from San Jose, California. So I had a quick question. If you had to distill your M.E.T journey or M.E.T experience into like one phrase or sentence, what would that be?
I have an answer. One word would be risky. There was, so from the very beginning, like right now, you guys are taking one step of risk already. You probably made some very good schools in coming here, a place where like your family doesn't know, your friends don't know, but the right people do know. It's still a risk, right? In your head, you're always weighing, like, should I go to Stanford, Harvard, MIT, blah, blah, or come here? So taking that leap was my first leap, and then starting a company was another one. This internships here are very, very strong. Like as freshman, sophomore, you can get them. I got one at Facebook, turned it down so I could work on the company. And that was another risk. Just continuing to do things like that where I thought they would get me further, and it was all either my fault that we succeeded or my fault that we lost. And that's I guess just how I like to live my life, and taking those risks is something that Berkeley, it gave all the opportunities that you need so that you can take those risks. And I like to do it. You don't have to do it, but it's if I were to encapsulate in one word, it would be risk.
Where did you choose? You chose this over where? Caltech, Stanford, if I remember.
Yeah, Caltech, Stanford, Carnegie CS.
And then what's your junior year internship?
I'm going to Google as an APM intern in summer.
The risk paid up.
Yeah, so I think if I had to choose one word, I would choose community. I think that the community at M.E.T is unparalleled. Some of my best friends are in my cohort, and I think that the people in M.E.T are inspiring. Sometimes it can be really intimidating how amazing everyone is, but I think it's important to remember that, like, just as amazing as they are, you also bring something fantastic to the table as well.
I guess I'll do a phrase and then explain. So I would say exhilarating and then calibrating. I think as a senior now, I think I've spent like 4 years. I think one of the big questions is like, what do you want to do? And I feel like at every point in your life, you have some idea, but you never really know. And so I think looking around you, as Hannah said, it's easy to look around and say, oh, everyone knows what they want to do. But I'm still figuring it out. I think one thing I've learned is everyone is kind of still figuring it out, like no matter where they are in their lives. And so I think what's been exhilarating is trying new things and like trying to figure out where do my interests lie, like what gets me excited. And I think in my 4 years here, I've come in with an idea, but at the same time, I've put myself in a lot of different places. And one thing I've found that I come back to, and why I say calibrating, is my interest in this engineering and business came from this love for creating and making things come to life. And I think for me, that actually comes from an interest in art and creating. And I think it took until my junior year for me to be like, I want to take art classes for fun. I want to take more design classes and see what I can build. So I did a little bit at the end of my sophomore year and junior year, and now as a senior, I'm taking like computer vision classes, graphics classes, things that process the world around us and look at it in a different way. And I think coming back to, okay, what really gets me up in the morning and putting together everything that I've tried in the last 4 years, like what am I coming back to? And so very exciting, accelerating, and calibrating.
I don't mean to be cringy or anything, but when I think of M.E.T, like the phrase or word is just like life, right? Like this is a program it's tough. If you think you're gonna come in and just every day it's gonna be great, like at least for me that wasn't the case. You know, it was hard. It is hard, but it has its ups and downs. But that's life. And you know, when you get out of here, I feel like this is the best place that can set you up for success long term. Knowing how to handle hard situations, how to deal with like, you know, not doing well in a class when you put all the effort in and still showing up the next day to do more. And so I feel like there's mainly just life lessons, right? This program is pushing me a lot, and it's helped me grow outside of my comfort zone, and I'm super grateful for that.
I think you've got time for one more question. I know you guys are hungry, so go ahead.
Hello, my name is Magnus. I'm from Long Beach, California, and my question to you guys is, do you guys have any regrets or things, if you could go back to your freshman year here at M.E.T, what would you do differently, or would you not do anything differently?
I think for me that's a hard one because risk pays off later, or you fail. Maybe you fail fast. But I don't know yet, pretty much. If my company fails, then I made a mistake. If it doesn't, then I didn't make a mistake. So not sure yet. I guess if I had to give a very solid answer, it would be I wish my freshman year I would just talk to more people. People in M.E.T, people outside of M.E.T. There's a lot of people that have really great ideas, really great things to help you in ways you can help them. So building a set of people that you can rely on, just doing that better. My freshman year, I think, would have been better. But yeah, I'll let you know in a few years, probably.
Okay, so I'm a few years later, so I'm a senior. So I've definitely done some reflecting on this. I would say, I think two main things. So one, learning to be more present in the moments that I'm in. I think as an M.E.T student, you are taking on a lot, you're taking on a dual degree, so you're going to be busy, you're going to be doing a lot of things. And I think one thing for me, my freshman and sophomore year, it was really easy to get caught up on, what's the next thing I have to worry about? What is the next exam coming up? What's the next project due? What's the next deadline? And then finding in other moments where I'm here, listening to someone speak when I'm with my friends, those things are in the back of my head. So learning to be more present. And for me, part of that was learning to take care of myself too, getting enough sleep, getting enough exercise. So those things I think I've gotten a chance to learn over the course of 4 years, and I think is a huge aspect of personal growth. I think the other thing I touched on earlier when I said calibrating is staying true to what you're interested in. I think it's easy to get swept up into what people think you should do. And I think at your heart, hey, these are the things that I'm interested in. And so when people say, hey, take these classes because they're great for X, Y, Z. If you want to go into this is where everyone is going. Not necessarily listening to that, but stepping back and be what, when I read these course descriptions, what excites me? When I talk to these people in these clubs, what are they saying that excites me, and following that rather than listening to what people tell you should do. And so that's something I started doing I think, after my junior and senior year, but I wish that I knew that I could tell myself that coming in my freshman, sophomore year as well.
Yeah, I would say I don't have any regrets because the mistakes I've made have brought me to where I am today, to meeting the people I have today, and I am really happy with where I am. I think that one thing that I would kind of just remind myself, like Shravya, is just to make sure that I'm experiencing all of college. In high school, you spend a lot of time focusing on the next step, which is college. And you want to make sure you pause and take a minute, because a huge part of college is not just your classes. It's the connections you make, because those are people that you will surround yourself with for life. And Cal is an incredible place with incredible people, not just in M.E.T. There's incredible people in every situation you put yourself in. And it's really important that you take a minute, just take a breath, and experience it.
That's a great point. I think that, similar, no regrets. But I will say, coming in, you can pretty much do anything you want when you come out of here. You can become a PM. You can start your own company. You can be an engineer. You do whatever you want at the highest role, I think, personally. Any of you have the opportunity to do that within this program. But the question is, what do you want to do? And, like, I think the biggest thing is finding out that, right, you only have so much time to figure out what are you passionate about and what do you love. And like I said, the only way for me to do that, like, my biggest regret was not getting involved in more things early on campus. I was so caught up on getting straight A's versus spending the extra time to, like, be a human and meet people and have fun and enjoy this experience. But I started opening up sophomore year, and I found that I grew so much more when I opened that part up. And I took an A-, you know, I took a B+, but you know, when I talked to the recruiter, I still got the interview, and then you speak about the you know, the growth you had from being involved in these communities or interacting with people, and that took you so much further than getting the A, in my opinion. But
Guys, thank you. Just so impressed with all of you all the time. It's just amazing to see your growth from the day you walked in the door. It just makes us all so proud. To Sujay, Shoykot, Michael, and of course our student panelists, thank you for being here today. To the board members, to the alumni, you guys make the whole world go round for us. Thank you. And to all the admitted families and parents, thank you for taking the time to engage with us. You're the reason why we're all here. It's just such a thrill to meet you all in person. Couple of things. This ends our formal programming today. However, everybody's going to be here. You guys can talk to us at lunchtime. We're going to have a grab-and-go lunch around the corner here, and then we're going to head up towards the Blum Hall space where we were yesterday by those picnic benches. And then our final request is we want to get a huge group photo with our award-winning photographer, Noah, over here. Thank you so much for being with us. So if we can ask only the students to come on up here, and we're going to take a big, huge photo.
Getting kicked out.
Wait, he's got to unplug these first. Stand by. We'll get these out of the way.
Down below. This looks good down here. Behind the podium's working. Take these off stage. Yeah.
Gonna stay in here. Do you run the 200 meter? I mainly do triple jump, long jump. The guy who's not tall and back, let me move you up there. I'm gonna make myself taller for the picture. And also, you can't see me fully, I can't see you. Come up by the lectern. One more guy back, come up with me. Here, or? Come
test, 1, 2. Can I have you take off your name tags?
You guys should smile too. Hey.
Okay, and you guys look great. Thank you. And looking over at me here. 1, 2, 3. Happier. Good. Thinking about the admission prospects. Shake out a little bit. 1, 2, 3. And I'm gonna do one more smiles. Sorry. Not the hands yet. More smiles. 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's do a big expression. Berkeley. Berkeley. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Chris, how are you? Sir, happy to be here. Congrats.